I think the experience of playing these pods is going to be qualitatively different than the past.
The reason we went back and wanted to redo all the modeling technology is, one, just because there's things that we've always known that we wanted to achieve, but we were limited by the resources available in the individual chips.
Analog Devices came out with another chip which has just a bit more oomph so that we can get all of these effects to work as well as squeeze in HD modeling.
The thing that we wanted to try and improve mainly with doing the HD modeling was a lot to do with feel, right? What you get into with a lot of the older classic amps, there's a lot of things that have to do with dynamics, right? What's going on when on the onset of a chord, when it first attacks, there's dynamics of things moving in and out, harmonics that are changing, and a lot of events that are going on there, right? Which has a lot to do with just how everything lays out on the circuit board and how, you know, power is getting robbed from this section to this section and various different things that are going on there. So we really wanted to try and get that tactile sense, right? Because to a lot of people, we had the sonic sense, right? And, you know, original pods and stuff like that, everyone's like, in the studio, this sounds great, right? But when I got on the stage and they tried to play it on their hand, they're like, it just doesn't feel the same as what we're used to, right? And so it's that tactile sense that we were trying to get back, and that's really the crux of what we were going for.
When we went back to the drawing board and developed this new technology, we knew we had to focus our efforts very sharply. And so we set about finding and choosing those amps that we thought were absolutely essential to have in a collection, and then trying to fill those out with amps that our customers might not have access to, but they'd have a lot of interest in.
Since the last wave of modeling, there have been new favorite amps that have popped up, new boutique amps, new favorites that have kind of become trendy, that are hard to find, and really kind of looked at where the holes were and what people were sort of asking for and tried to acquire that.
We knew we were going to be really intensively looking at these amplifiers and wanted them to be performing at the best of their ability.
We took them to the best, I think the best amp tech in LA, and he dialed them all in for us.
We would bit by bit take them to Amp Hole, which is owned by Bob Dixon. He's one of the top guys, I think, in the amp restoration world. Bob has worked on over 25,000 amps in his career, as well as working with, you know, huge acts like the Rolling Stones. Zakk Wylde, he does Queens of the Stone Age, John Frusciante. I mean, just the list goes on and on of all the people whose gear he works on. So he's well respected.
Interestingly enough, the pod, obviously the original one was a kidney bean. It was a desktop unit, but over the years, as computer recording has changed and plugins have gotten more popular, pod has really hit a stride as a performance unit. It's really become more popular on the floor than it is on the desktop. And so when we were looking at a next generation pod, it was an obvious choice for us to go for the floor.
The Pod HD 300, 400, and 500 all sound exactly the same. They have the exact same amp modeling. They all sound fantastic. But we have split them up a little bit differently in terms of the UI.
300 guy is looking for flexibility and, you know, kind of the latest, greatest new stuff from Line 6. Doesn't need extra bells and whistles. They're just looking for all the kind of core key features. 400 guy might be considering integrating a few additional things into the rig. They'll respect the fact that we have a effects loop. They'll want to add an extra expression pedal. They'll maybe be a little bit more comfortable with being able to quickly switch back and forth between things because there's more foot switches. They're kind of a little bit more likely to try to incorporate it into a bigger rig. The 500 guy, on the other hand, is the person that likes to get in and have total control over all the different aspects of the tone. Likes to be able to tweak, likes to be able to route things, likes to be able to build real beautiful, complicated signal flows. And so we have a different UI specifically for that person.
First pod, 11 years ago now, right? It was, I can walk into a studio and, at home, it was designed for home, but somehow I ended up in large studios. But I can turn a knob and in an instant have a good sound, right? And if it was the most authentic sound, it didn't really matter because it was just so instant and fun, right? The fun factor was majorly high. What I love about the 300, 400 is the fun factor is that high again, if not more so, right? I can make great sounds, I can get great sounds, and have fun like that, right? And then if you get into, I'm much more of a person who wants to get into like programming, and I want to do things that I can only imagine, right? well, then we have a 500. And if you can imagine it, the 500, go for it, right? Because it's going to allow you to do a lot of things that you could only do in your head before.
Go upstairs and you'll hear, you know, wacky sounds coming out at, you know, as the day winds down, and that's, I think that's a great sign that we who are so intimate with the products are also still get a lot of enjoyment out of them.
I like it a huge amount as a guitarist, and I think that's probably my preference, is that as a guitarist this is amazing. As an engineer, it is fantastic to learn what all the secret nuances are of each of these vintage amplifiers.
My favorite part of the Pod HD is kind of the scalability of it.
My favorite thing about Pod HD is the amp modeling, hands down.
I think it's really doing the real amps justice.